Level 1. The Intern. You match into your first choice hospital. Top program. Competitive. The kind of place where the name alone opens doors for the rest of your life. You walk in on your first day carrying 12 years of ambition. Every exam, every all-nighter, every summer you didn't take a vacation, it led here. You are ready. You are certain of that. By 7 a.m., you have already been humiliated twice. The attending corrects your presentation in front of 6 people. Wrong framing, wrong priorities. You said the patient was stable. He disagrees. The patient is fragile, and you missed it. You write it down. You don't argue. Your pager goes off 40 times before noon. You eat half a granola bar standing at a nursing station. You don't sit until 9 p.m. By then, your feet feel like concrete, and your brain is running on something that isn't quite thinking, but something else happens that first week. Something nobody warned you about. You save someone. Not dramatically, not the way the movies show it, a quiet catch, a lab value that didn't match, you flag it, the senior resident checks it, treatment changes, the patient improves, nobody thanks you, nobody marks it down, it just happens and the day moves on. But you remember it. You lie in your call room bed at midnight, still in scrubs, and you replay that moment, the number, the flag, the outcome. That is why you are here. And for the first time since orientation, the exhaustion feels like it means something. Level 2, the resident. 3 years in, you stop flinching. You have seen things that used to be unimaginable. You have told families things that broke them in front of you. You have stood in rooms where someone died and then walked directly to the next room and introduced yourself calmly. You have learned to separate the moment from the feeling, not to stop feeling, to store it somewhere you can reach later, when there is time. There is rarely time. Your clinical judgment is sharper now. You know which attending to call and which one to handle yourself. You know when a protocol is right and when it is just a protocol. You know the difference between a patient who is sick and a patient who is about to be sick. That knowledge is worth something. Nobody told you it would feel like this. Not power exactly, more like precision, like seeing clearly in a room where everyone else is squinting. You start making decisions that matter. A family wants aggressive intervention. The numbers say something different. You sit with them for 40 minutes. You explain it plainly, not with false hope, not with cold statistics, with honesty that costs you something. They agree to change the plan. The attending nods at you afterward. That's all. One nod. You carry that nod for a week. Your life outside the hospital is thin now. Relationships have simplified. The people who stayed are the ones who understood what they were agreeing to, the ones who needed more left. You don't blame them. You barely blame yourself. You tell yourself residency ends. And then fellowship calls. Level 3, the fellow. You chose a subspecialty, something precise, something that requires a steadiness most people don't have. You chose it because you are good at it and because being good at something this hard matters to you in a way you can't fully explain. Fellowship is harder than residency in a different way. The physical exhaustion flattens. The intellectual pressure sharpens. You are expected to know things that don't exist yet, to read literature published 3 weeks ago, to argue positions in grand rounds with attendings who have 20 more years of pattern recognition than you do, to be wrong in front of people who notice exactly how wrong you are. You get used to being wrong correctly. You learn to fail forward, to treat each gap in your knowledge as a room that needs furnishing, not a verdict. Your technical skill grows in ways you can feel. A procedure that took 40 minutes now takes 12. Your hands have developed a memory. And you stop consciously thinking through each step. The knowledge moves into the body. That is when you understand what mastery feels like from the inside. It doesn't feel like confidence. It feels like quiet. You start publishing, small papers first, careful ones. You learn the machinery of academic medicine, the politics of authorship, the grant cycle, the hierarchy of journals. You learn that knowledge and recognition are different currencies that don't always move together. You file that away. Level 4, the attending. Your name is on the door now. Figuratively, literally at some institutions. Patients ask for you specifically. They have read about you. They have driven hours. They have waited months. That weight is real and you feel it every day before you enter the room. You are no longer protected by supervision. Every decision belongs to you. There is no one above you in the clinical chain to absorb the consequence if you are wrong. The buck stops at your name, your license, your hands. It changes how you think, not toward fear, toward thoroughness. You slow down internally even as you move faster externally. You develop a discipline of doubt that becomes your most reliable tool. Before every major decision, you ask yourself what you might be missing. You build the habit of looking for the thing that contradicts your first impression. You are good at this. You know you are good, but you also begin to see the institution more clearly. The hospital runs on something other than medicine. It runs on throughput, billing codes, patient satisfaction scores, length of stay targets, readmission rates. You spend a portion of every day translating between what a patient needs and what the system will support. Sometimes those are the same thing. Sometimes they are not. You navigate it. You learn the language. You advocate inside the channels that work and stop fighting the ones that don't. You pick your moments, but something is accumulating, quietly, without a name yet. Level 5, the department director. They ask you to lead. Not the flashy title, the actual weight of it. Staffing decisions, curriculum design, conflict resolution between people who are simultaneously colleagues and competitors. The overnight call schedule that everyone hates and no one wants to fix. You take it because you believe you can make things better. That belief is genuine. It will be tested. If you discover that leadership in medicine is not about clinical excellence, clinical excellence gets you the room. Leadership is something different. It is the ability to hold a group of highly intelligent, highly autonomous, deeply opinionated people in enough alignment that they can function together. That is not a medical skill. It is a human one. And it is not taught anywhere in the 12 years you just completed. You learn it through mistakes, a hire you misjudged, a conflict you escalated when you should have absorbed it, a policy you pushed through without enough buy-in. You learn to listen longer before speaking. You learn that the person arguing the loudest in the room is rarely the person whose opinion matters most. You learn that the right decision announced badly is often worse than a slightly worse decision that the team believes in. Your clinical hours shrink. That costs you something you didn't expect. The part of the job that made everything else worth it, the patient in front of you, the problem, the solution, the human moment, that part is becoming rarer. You are further from it than you have ever been. You fill the gap with purpose, with impact at scale, with the knowledge that decisions you make today will affect hundreds of patients you will never meet. It helps. It doesn't fully replace it. Level 6, the chief of surgery, of medicine, of the department. The title that once lived in a distant future now has your name in front of it. The view from here is not what you imagined. You see the whole system now, not just the clinical layer, but the financial architecture underneath it. Where the money comes from, where it goes, which programs are funded because they produce outcomes, and which ones are funded because they produce revenue. You learn the difference between what gets announced and what gets decided. The real decisions happen in rooms with fewer people and quieter voices. You sit in those rooms now. You have influence over things that matter. You protect programs that would otherwise be cut. You fight for resources your people need. You prevent decisions that would harm patients who will never know you intervened. You are doing good. You are certain of that. But something else is visible from this altitude that wasn't visible before. The machine does not run on healing. It runs on continuity, on institutional survival, on the careful management of liability, reputation, and margin. Healing happens inside that machine. Good people make it happen every day, at every level. But the machine itself is not optimized for healing. You knew this abstractly. You know it concretely now. And knowing it concretely changes the question you are living with. Not whether you should be here, whether this is the only way to be here. Level 7, the moment. It is a Tuesday. Unremarkable. You are in a meeting about capacity planning when your phone buzzes. A text from a resident, a third year you have been watching. She caught something, a pattern across 3 patients that nobody else connected. She flagged it, changed all 3 treatment plans, and sent you the note because she thought you should know. You read it twice. She is exactly who you were at level 1. Hungry, precise, certain. You excuse yourself from the meeting and find her at the nursing station. You tell her what she did was excellent, not in passing. You sit down. You tell her specifically what she saw, why it mattered, and what kind of doctor it signals she is becoming. She looks exactly like you felt on the day the attending nodded once. You walk back to your office. You sit for a long time. You think about everything you have built and everything it cost. The relationships that simplified, the clinical hours that shrank, the version of yourself you were at level 1, standing in that hallway, certain and terrified and completely present. You think about what the job actually is, not the title, the job, and something settles. Not a crisis, not a breaking point, just clarity. Level 8, the decision. You don't leave medicine, you leave the machine. You step back from the administrative track. You give up the title. Someone younger and hungrier takes the chair. You let them. You tell them what you wish someone had told you. They nod like they understand. In a few years they will. You rebuild your schedule around patients, around the resident teaching sessions you used to delegate, around the cases that require the thing you spent 20 years developing. Judgment that can't be automated, presence that can't be replicated, the ability to sit in a room with someone who is frightened and help them understand what is happening to their body. You take fewer administrative meetings. You stop attending the ones that exist only to produce the appearance of governance. You publish less. You teach more. Your income drops slightly. Your sleep improves dramatically. You walk the same hallways you walked on the first day. The hospital is louder than you remember. There are interns everywhere, new ones, carrying their ambition in both hands, certain they are ready. You don't tell them they aren't. That lesson can't be given. It has to be survived. You just watch them move through the halls and think quietly about the 12-year journey that turns ambition into something more durable. Not fame, not rank, just the knowledge of what you are actually for. And somewhere at a nursing station right now, a first-year intern flags a lab value that doesn't match. A senior resident checks it. A treatment changes. A patient improves. Nobody marks it down, but the intern lies awake in the call room at midnight and replays it, and understands for the first time why they are here. The cycle begins, again, always.